Welcome to Listening to Paint Dry with Mike and Dan, a podcast about the art and hobby of miniature painting. I'm Mike.
And I'm Dan. Thank you for joining us as we strive to become better, braver, happier painters.
So Dan, it has been quite a summer, and now we're into the fall too. It's a lot has been going on, and we haven't really touched base in a bit. So how about for today, we kind of do a bit of a review show of all the things that have kind of gone on since maybe June, we'll say.
Sure.
Awesome. Okay. But we're going to work backwards a little bit though. Last weekend, which was the 16th and 17th of October, Dan and I helped coordinate a class at Game Garrison in Fredericksburg, Virginia, taught by the fantastic artist Eric Swinson. And that we maxed out at 16, and we had 16 attendees, and it was a overall, spoiler alert, it was a great weekend. Learned a ton, but we're going to go into a little bit more specifics about some of the things that went through the class and what we kind of thought. So Dan, why don't you start us out with your overall impression of the class? And we'll also caveat this too, that although it's not that big of a deal, but it is good to note that this was Eric's first 2-day workshop. He's taught a ton of other hour-long classes, several hour-long classes, etc. But this is his first time he put kind of all that stuff together for a 2-day camp type thing.
Yeah. Well, as anyone who has taken any classes knows, there's a lot to learn in the paint world, and trying to put all of that into a 2-day class makes it enjoyable, fun, stressful, frustrating sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it went pretty well, especially, since this was his first 2-day class. I don't think you really be able to tell that. I think there's a little bit of prep that we're just not aware that you needed to do for a 2-day class.
Mm-hmm.
But we caught on pretty quickly with that. I can't even share the great amount of information that I learned, even though I've been through so many other classes with so many great painters. You're always picking up something new. Great people, everybody helping each other out, thinking
Mm-hmm.
that you're a decent artist, and then someone you've never seen or heard of before sits down next to you and paints, and you're like, holy crap, that is freaking amazing. Why aren't you showing that stuff
Yeah,
off?
that guy Ethan next to you was
Yeah. I was like, what, man? And then his buddy, I can't remember his name. I wish I could.
Mike.
Here in a minute, I can. Was that?
His name was Mike.
Oh, he was a Mike also.
Yep.
He had just like great like ideas and use of color.
Mm-hmm.
Now he is a tattoo artist, so he's got that on his side. But just being able to look over and say, damn it, what in the world are they doing over there? I was like, okay, I guess I need to start painting a little bit more because my shit's looking stale.
Well, of course, and then we had somebody we're going to have on the show here in not too long. Will Hahn was in the class as well, who's another.
Yeah. So we had everything
artist.
From semi-pro minor league all the way to super rookie, never picked up a brush,
mm-hmm.
Guy. And Eric was able to communicate to each person at their level and help everybody. I think everybody got something out of that class.
Right, and even talking to somebody who was on the newer side, they said they struggled a little bit by the first day, but by the second day they were gotten to the groove of everything, and that kind of makes sense. That the first wave of it is very hard, you know what I mean? Like, and it's not. Eric's style isn't like, an Alfonso style where he's kind of like the fire hose of information is coming and you just got to hold on to the sides of your chair and pray you don't get knocked over. And that's fine. That's not a criticism of Alfonso. It's just a different style of teaching. And I think the biggest thing that I thought he did a good job doing spot feedback. Now I know when we did the survey, somebody thought that he could be a little harsher. And Yeah, I mean, he was very nice, but the other side of it is that that and he made a point when I brought this up to Eric made a point when I brought him up to him, brought this up to him, and he's like, he didn't know anybody in the class well enough, besides like his friend Dave that came up in Wuhan, to really go there, right?
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
definitely, if you're gonna do harsher criticisms, or no, I don't, that's a bad way of saying it, but like more blunt criticisms, you have to know the person first, and Eric's absolutely
Yeah.
right about that.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of an interesting conversation,
Yeah,
but
and and maybe that's something else that people, as we take these classes, we don't really see is what are the expectations of the students of the instructor,
mhm,
especially when it comes to that, because they're like, oh well, I wish I would have, he would have not spent more time, but maybe they would have been a little bit more blunt, or um, critiqued a little harder and showed, but they have to think, okay, who is this person, how do
mhm,
they paint, and they have to evaluate all that instantly and then respond without you know crushing a person, because man, it didn't take more than a couple extra words to like crush somebody, where they're not going to want to paint anymore, and that's
true.
definitely not what we want to do.
No, not at
um,
all, not at all, and it's not fair to anybody to make them feel like that, or yeah, absolutely. And can I give you one of the weirdest phenomena, and this definitely is result is linked, because I feel like there is a disconnect in your eyes almost at times. And what I mean by that is that I struggled with the abs on the Morlock model on just one side, like really badly. And I
mhm.
repainted the abs like 4 times on this right side. And even when we went away at night, that night for dinner, I went, this is the God, I'm gonna have to redo that side. The abs are just crap. When I came back in the next morning, I was like, wait, did somebody overnight repaint the abs? Like, did a Keebler elf come in and repaint the abs on this? And I took a picture before I left that night, and I looked at them, and they were the same. And in the lens of the morning, they were substantially better. And I feel like I kind of got myself into a frustration trap when I was working on the abs. And so
Mhm.
I was no longer seeing really what I was doing. I was only seeing any mistake, or you know what I'm saying. I don't hope that makes sense, but when
No,
I
yeah,
came
it
back to
does.
it the next morning with fresh eyes, I was like, all right, these aren't as bad as I thought they were.
Yeah,
You know
and
what I mean?
yeah, exactly. And I was very disappointed in some of the shadows that I did on the pecs, because he had very large chest muscles, and I was kind of disappointed because I just didn't like the way that the shading happened. But I think it was yesterday. Uh, the missus was like, you haven't showed me this stuff, because we were talking about scales, and she's like, what scale are you talking about? It's like, oh, there's different scales. um and so I was like, well, here, let me show you real quick. And then when I picked it up and looked at the figure, I was like, oh, you know what, that shadow didn't look nearly as bad as I thought. And actually the blending was a smidge better than I saw that last day, where I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of disappointed. Even though it looks the same as you said. So maybe it is fatigue. Hey,
Yeah.
we're getting old, man, and we're staring at something 4 inches away from our face for 16 hours. That shit's got to be messing something up in there.
And at some point, you have to pull it away a bit, and to get perspective of it. You can't just keep your face
Mm-hmm.
on the model and expect for it to look
Yeah,
good.
and
And
yeah.
I'll give you one other example too. So the last couple of hours of the class, basically, where he was like, I'm going to go around the room. You paint what you want to paint on the figure, and we'll talk about it. You use what I've taught you over the last 16 hours or 14 hours in these 2 hours, and I'll help you, which I thought was great. And I worked on the axe blade, which we had not worked on. I literally threw some colors on there and sketched it out, and I was kind of like, and I corrected just the areas of the sketches. There is zero blending whatsoever. And when I posted the figure on Instagram, and sent it to a couple of other friends, the number one comment I got is like, dude, that axe blade is looking fantastic. And I'm like, really? That axe blade took me 3 minutes. That's it. That's it. I'm just speed painting the rest of my life. I'm just gonna be,
Yeah,
it's like
well,
throwing,
that's,
slapping colors on and moving on.
yep, that's kind of the theme of the weekend.
That's true. Eric is an incredibly fast painter, but
Yeah,
it's part of his business because he does, those tabletop. He does the miniatures for Privateer Press, and uh, he's got to churn them out to make the money. You know what I mean?
yep,
So hey,
exactly.
I wish I had that discipline. But yeah, as I've learned in my course of this weak ass attempt at becoming commission painter, that I don't have the chops for it.
Yeah, one a year is probably my limit, and after
Yeah.
that, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Mhm.
Might get,
So
I might get one done.
I'm gonna say overall, I would definitely give this class a 2 thumbs up, and then if he redoes this 2-day workshop, um, hell yeah, it's worth. I think it's certainly worth taking. It was $250 class, 2 days with Eric. You learn a ton, and it doesn't. I don't think it comes at you too fast. I think he paces a class pretty well.
Yeah, because what we went through like four major like not necessarily techniques, but areas that to focus on. So
Right, like day one was skin, face, and leather fur.
yeah,
And
and then
skin
we
and
did,
face are a little bit different, but they're kind of in the same area.
yeah,
And then the second day was non-metallic metals and hair.
yeah,
It's so
mm,
people who teach 3-day classes on non-metallic metals, so it was pretty. It
yeah,
was pretty good. It was a pretty good. He does he does a presentation before we start painting non-metallic
mm.
metal, which is nice. Uh,
Yeah. I think I think that helped a lot, and it really does. If you haven't had a non-metallic metal class before, it was good to hear about like how does it work and how do metals interact with light and then secondary lights and things like that. Even though it was only like a 10-minute or so spiel, it did set the stage for us to paint the pieces that we were working on.
exactly. So huge shout out to Eric for teaching a fantastic class, and congratulations to him on getting his first 2-day workshop down. Also, a huge thanks to Game Garrison for hosting us. It was a great area to work in. Yeah, I mean, the venue worked really well, and they gave a 15% discount to all the students who were there, so I know they made some money off of that there because almost everybody bought stuff. Um, and big thank you to all those who attended. It was really an honor and a privilege to meet everybody. The damn dude, Virginia, the DMV area, man, we got some badass painters.
Yes, we do, and it's quite surprising. And I was talking to somebody earlier today about that, saying, "Hey, there's a lot of great painters that come from this area that we either don't know about or we just don't realize are from this area."
Right?
And hey, you know what? We just need to keep pumping that out. We need to keep it going. California can't have all the best painters, and neither can that
The
small little country over the ocean.
Yeah, well, Midwest is a big wave of painters here in the U.S. too. But no, I mean Southern Virginia, where Eric's from, their painters that also came up from there. We had 2 fantastic painters from Richmond, painters
Hmm.
from Baltimore, Dumfries, Reston. I mean, it really, yeah. We'll say the Mid Atlantic. The Mid Atlantic was representing very impressively.
Yeah.
You know.
And we hope that we're able to continue that. I mean, yeah, of course, we both live here,
Mhm.
but Game Garrison has the decent facilities, and they were pretty excited and very happy with their feedback that they got, and they're already starting to think about what can they do to make other paint classes happen, or
Yep.
even painters come, even if it's a 1 day or 2 day or whatever. They have the facilities. It's centrally located in the state.
Yep.
Something to think about, people.
Hey, and listeners, stay tuned. It looks like down the road here, Dan and I will be teaching some classes there as well. Probably beginner and intermediate level classes, and they'll cover a wide range of topics. So we'll keep everybody filled in. But again, thank you to Eric, thank you to Game Garrison, and thank you to those who attended. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start about what you want to talk about your BattleTech stuff? Do you want me to talk about Reapercon?
Oh, let me get my crap out of the way. Talk
Okay.
about some of the stuff that's been going on. So, first, let me go back into the Wayback Machine and talk about 3D printing. And I think we might have even talked about it in the last show. I can't remember, but yeah, that I got a brand new 3D printer.
You
And
didn't
it's
have
still
it
in a
yet.
box.
Yeah, you didn't
It's,
have it yet.
it's been in there for a month and a half or so, and it's probably going to stay there for a while because I got a lot of stuff going on non-hobby related right now, which is good though. Um, so it's going to sit there for a while. So if anybody needs a 3D printer, Mike, just let me know. We'll get rid of one of them so I can start using the other one. Um, and so why did I originally get a 3D printer was to print Battletech stuff. So finally, wave 2 of the Kickstarter for Battletech and Catalyst Game Labs finally came through, and I started to paint some of those guys up so that I could use them. So I decided that why not throw myself into the grinder, and I joined a tournament. So that will be happening in November.
Oh wow!
We will see what
Congratulations.
happens because I don't have the time to learn how to play the game. So I'm gonna go in pretty green, I think. But
Hey,
I think
baptism by fire, man.
yeah, I think I'm just gonna go in and just say, hey man, you guys are gonna win, but let's just have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I picked an off the wall faction that's a bunch of farmers, so it should be kind of it was kind of fun. I'm not sure
Yeah,
if
I
I
was
can use.
telling you, man. You reminded me of that Love, Death, and Robots. You know that the one where they're on the alien planet and on the farms and the mechs shooting the aliens.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
it makes me think of when you were talking about it. I was like, oh wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So I gotta yeah, figure out how to play the game, get these guys all painted up. So I've been doing that for a couple hours here and there in between homework and regular work, and then I finally had filled out all of my scale 75 paints, and on a whim tried this small teeny weeny little company called Monument Hobbies
Yeah,
and Pro Acryl
pro crow.
Paints.
Yeah.
And it didn't take but like 3 brushstrokes to say, holy crap, this shit's pretty good. So
Mm-hmm.
the other day, I actually it was last week at the Game Garrison is when I picked up the remainder of the paints to complete that set. Those things are
You bought the whole Pro
fantastic.
Quill set?
Oh, dude, man, they're awesome. It's not a joke. I thought people were just like paid to say that this stuff is good. Shit's good. The only gripe I have with it is it does not like wet palettes. So I
Mm-hmm.
just have to remember that when I'm painting with them. So I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot of people with airbrush. Airbrush is just like it's like the nectar of the gods, man. It, the best coats I've ever seen with
Oh
any
wow.
kind of paint before, any kind of color. They blend so well. Painting with a brush is pretty darn good too. I really like them. Um,
I've heard they're a joy to wet blend with because they stay open a little longer.
yes, the problem is man, they don't like water. They don't like wet pellets. I'm using red grass, and um, for these mechs, and literally last night I kept having to fresh all of my paints
Mm-hmm.
because it was it was minutes that it
Wow,
took for them to separate. um,
interesting.
and I don't know if it was, maybe it was too wet, maybe I didn't shake them enough or something, but after a couple, literally it was just minutes and they would separate. Maybe I'm not using them right. I'm not going to blame the paint because even when you mix them up after they separate it and you brush with them, they're still fantastic. Um, But yeah, those in scale 75s, completely different types of paints, different properties. But I'm getting used to painting with them and
Yeah, I
enjoy
saw
with them.
a Facebook post of somebody said, "Hey, can you what's it what should I buy scale 75 or buy the Pro Acryl lines?" And almost universally were like, dude, they're not even they're apples and oranges for
Yes,
the way that they paint and things along those lines."
they interact completely different, but they're still great paints. Both sets, and I love them both. I don't need. I very rarely need something else like Calvary Brown from Vallejo, and then
Yeah,
a
aren't you
GW
glad I
paint
brought
here and
that?
there. Smart ass. Gosh, man. I
I
can't
brought
believe I
all my
waited
paints
so
to the
many
class.
freaking years to buy it. And I was like, you know what? Eric finally shows me a reason why I really need it. And I'm like, I might as well just go buy the damn thing.
I use Calvary Brown on a ton of stuff, but it's the same thing. It's the same color as Reaper's Ruddy Brown, or it's either Ruddy
Yeah.
Brown or Ruddy Leather. And
Hmm.
Games Workshop's, I guess,
It's
Doombull
like,
Brown is pretty close.
it's pretty close, but there's just something, maybe a little bit more red in it or
It's more
something.
red in
There's just,
Calvary Brown, yeah.
and it's just, I don't know. It just worked well. I was like, what the crap, man? So,
Well, that's a good. I mean, that's what I in Eric's class I did. I didn't use a single flesh paint. I used like Calvary Brown, Ivory, um,
mhm.
another ochre, and something else. I can't remember the other color.
Yeah.
Livery green, and I did
You
all
have
my.
that? They were
Yeah.
looking for that. They were looking for that today. If
Oh
you don't
yeah.
want it, I'm sure there's somebody who would buy it from you.
Oh, I have three of them because I have three different. It came in,
What?
yeah, because it came in three different Vallejo sets that I got. It was like in the orc set, and then this fantasy set, and then I had the paint. I bought the paint separately, and so I bought it separately first, and then I got two Vallejo sets as a gift, and they was in both of those sets. So I have
Oh, that's
three.
pretty funny because they were, yeah.
Yeah, I will. I'll hook you up next time I see you. I'll give it to you.
Yeah, we'll have to, yeah, we got to talk offline about that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much all that I've been doing. Hobby wise. Oh, you know what? I got a new airbrush and started playing with that.
Yeah, tell us a little
Um,
bit about that. What'd you get?
so I got an Iwata, I can't even remember the name of it. HPBC ABC. I don't know. I can't remember. It's a super cool one. I very rarely use that one because because it's such a fine needle.
Mm-hmm.
It it's smooth as shit, man. It's really nice, and I don't even have the skills to airbrush with it yet,
Mm-hmm.
because I usually do base coating. So I had to fork out another couple bucks and buy a cheap thing off the internet. And
You bought a Masters, right? With the three
I
with the
got
three
a
needles.
master's airbrush with three different needles. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
using that as base coating right now, just because I'm painting mechs right now. So I don't have a need for a super nice airbrush. Um, so that's yeah, that's my airbrush purchases, and it makes a world of difference when you have an airbrush that hasn't been dropped 20 times, and has broken needles and paint clogged up in it inside everything. So it's been a joy to airbrush lately.
Oh, excellent.
So yeah, so that's other than that, been trying to get back into that a little bit when I have a chance. That and get rid of all my old shit.
Right. All right.
And that's
So
it. So yeah, tell us about what's been going on in your hobby life, Mike.
I guess I'll start a little bit before Reapercon, just then that um right before Reapercon, like I don't know, I thought I was in trouble because all these like bad omens were happening. Southwest Airlines ultimately like changed my flight like 3 times. And then I blew a tire on the Monday before going to Reapercon, and I was like, I couldn't get it fixed before I went. And then the next morning, my compressor died on my airbrush, which was awesome. And then later in that same day, I set my champagne glass on fire. That So, and I've told a little bit of the story in the past, just that, I was trying to get the air bubbles out of the resin with a lighter, and I forgot I had put the paper AK interactive plants on it, and let's just say they go up like voom, like within a snap of the fingers.
Good
And so
job,
I'm
Mike.
like, I am just screwed. This Reapercon is going to be like one of the worst experiences of my life, because there's just no way that all these things are telling me bad news. Well, it turns out that basically I got all the bad out before I got there. Reapercon was an absolutely amazing time. I would say my overall first impression of it was that everybody has described it as basically a giant kind of family reunion with family members you don't know, but they treat you very well, and that really is a good description of it. Everybody's super friendly, excited to be there. They have an artist alley, which I think is probably one of the highlights of it for me, is being able to walk from artist to artist. They have sculptors, painters, uh, uh, their graphic designer, and the person who does a lot of their concept art she had a table, Izzy Collier. And so you got to talk to her about, pick her brain about her ideas. And so it was really just absolutely, it was a fantastic time. And there were a ton, there was a huge room where the models were, and, they had nearly, they had 743 entries, I think, which is crazy considering, they limited admission. You know what I mean? They had a much smaller admission than they had originally planned. They only had about 1,000 people, so that was pretty cool. Um, probably the biggest downside was didn't get to take a lot of classes because they sold out really quickly because they limited the size because of COVID. And so it was really hard to get classes, and I actually wound up only taking 2. Um, but it is what it is, such is life sometimes. But I will say other things far outweighed. I spent a really good amount of time with Dev Sodagar of CK Studios, who was also on the show. I interviewed him from Reapercon, and I would definitely say Dev's a friend now, man. That is totally awesome to get to meet somebody that like-minded with. And we had a lot of fun. We ate a lot of meals together. um, and then just meeting all the other judges. I names I didn't know. I knew, like, Aaron Lovejoy, but I'd never met him. And a lot of people, probably most people who are listening to this, know who Aaron Lovejoy is, a Miniature Monthly. And so he also won Best in Show. And then artists I had known of but didn't know who they were. Like, I'd seen their work. Like, there's Bryce Kokenauer, who's on our podcast, who I interviewed about 2 weeks ago, who'll be on the show. We'll air that show soon. Man, he's a fantastic artist. I had not heard the name, but I had seen some of his work, and I know he's a multi-demon winner, and he was won Best in Show at Reapercon. But he was also one of the judges, and he gave me just a marvelous critique of one of my pieces. And people will get to hear that, because he did it we recorded his critique of my piece, that the Lancelot piece, because that really sounds awkward that he critiqued my piece. Those you can't, where Dan and I can look at each other while we're doing this, and he just literally was shaking his head and with his eyes closed, like, no, Mike, no, Mike, don't go there. I'm tired. What can I say? I got to meet Ed and Dave, the owners of Reaper, and interview with them. Yeah, it was a great time. Learned a lot. And of course, I got to sit down with the show's BFF, Michael Proctor, for a while too. And yeah, that was really it was a blast. And leaving a little piece of history in the Reaper gallery / Hall of Fame. I don't know what it is, but Hall of Fame sounds better for me, so that's what I'm calling it. It was all pretty cool. In that time period, as far as projects goes, I could speak English. I painted a Bellicor, a Mortarian. Who's the third one? Bellicor, Mortarian, Magnus the Red, 22 X-Wing fighters for the game X-Wing, 13 more Dungeons and Dragons figures, my 3 pieces plus the piece that I abandoned and decided not to enter into the show, which was a good move because it was terrible. My Elmer the Patchwork Elephant just did not work out. It just looked like color vomit. It's really the best way to put it. And a lot of people were saying they liked it, but I think they were lying just to protect my feelings. And so I've painted quite a bit, and I was laughing the other night. I'm like, wait, where are all these models I realized that everything I like about 70% of what I painted is commission, so they're gone. You know what I mean? And now I am about 80% done with Smog's wings. Thank Jesus. I'm going to be I am tired of talking about this project, but I guess we're going to start doing a segment called Smogress instead. No, never mind. We're not going to do that. But yeah, that's a catch up to where we are now. I started a couple other projects. Oh shoot, I'm so. When I got back from Reapercon a couple weeks later was the National Capital Model Soldier Society's annual show, and they actually did a live show on a Saturday. It was great. They had a few hundred entries into it. Actually, somebody who took the class, a guy named Nick Donardi, who was in our class, and I think you've met him as well, from at the Nova Open and such. He had a great show there because he won a best in category and a couple of medals, and it was we'll make sure we re-advertise that show when it comes back around next year. It was a surprising amount of fun, and you know what? The vendors were very different than your typical historical. Yes, there was the 2 or 3 people that had the mountainous walls of kits from the kits from like the 80s of everything from a German tank crew to every type of you think of the War Machine and real life War Machine, they had it. But this one also had a couple of vendors that just had the oddest figures. Like one of the guys had like the silver screen from the 50s and 60s figures. It was totally awesome. I was like, that is incredible. And I'm mad because I went to go get cash and then came back, and the guy had a Houdini and he had sold it, and I totally wanted a Houdini because I've been reading about Houdini's Secret Service. Have you ever heard of that? Like the people that he hired to be his team to go after spiritualists to debunk the spiritual movements and mediums and things along those lines. And so I was like, God, I got it. That would be awesome to have a Houdini miniature. Because and I just literally by the time I went from there to the ATM and back to him, it was gone. And he's not. He only sells what he gets in, so it's not like it's. I'm gonna have to do some research and see if I can find something, but I kind of forgot about that. So yeah, that actual I did. It's the first time I got up that morning, and just the thought of packing stuff up to bring with me. I knew I wasn't going to be able to be there through the award ceremony, just because of the way our day was. I was just kind of like, I'm just going to go. I helped judge. So that was a lot of fun. But otherwise, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to come here, judge, look at the vendors. And that was kind of it. Hey, they gave me a free lunch, which was super nice and totally unexpected. So that was great of them. And there were a bunch of good people. So if anybody listening is in the Northern Virginia area, Baltimore, Washington, that also works. But yeah, the National Capital Model Soldier Society, great group and open to joining. We actually have people internationally that do it because they're also going to start doing combo live / in person and Zoom meetings at the same time. So multiple people, people can participate from all over the world. And so, but yeah, that's besides Eric's class, that's kind of been it, man. It's not we did we kind of walked through some of our if we had done anything in our resolutions yet, and I've gotten okay through mine. I realize, like the social media one, I'm kind of stinking on, And I'm gonna admit it. I'm not gonna do the orc one. I started painting a Blood Bowl orc for October, and I got to tell you, the subject matter just doesn't interest me right now. And I put base coats over everything, and I went boom. I'm done with an orc. I didn't even put a base. It's not even on a base. I'm just like, I painted an orc. They're check box.
Hey, painting something that you have zero interest in is just a motivation suck.
Yeah.
It's it just it doesn't allow you to be creative like the way you want to, and it's not fun because that's what
Mm-hmm.
we want to do. We want it to be fun. It turns into a chore, and we don't like chores. So, hey, don't paint something that you're not particularly happy or feel like painting. That's why I have boxes of gray stuff right now because I don't like painting any of it.
You know what though? You know what's interesting though? I've taken a couple of assembly commissions, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like modeling, but the assembly commissions are really super easy because literally what I do is I pull up a card table, pop on a TV show, and just sit there and assemble while I'm watching TV and get rid of mold
Yep.
lines. And I watch a couple of episodes. I'm kind of you know what? I'm not ashamed. I'm kind of hooked on Supernatural right now. Um, it is a
You only
CW
got
show.
like 15 years of that to watch.
Dude, I'm already in season 10 and I've only been watching it for about a month. So
Oh shit.
it's embarrassing how fast that's embarrassing how fast I've gotten through it. My wife and daughter have been like, "You're fat. You did that faster than we watched Gilmore Girls." And I'm like, "Yes, I did." Stop being jealous. So don't hate the player, hate the game. But yeah, so I've actually kind of been like, I'm like, it doesn't pay as well as painting, but yeah, this is pretty nice. Like, I mean, that's if I could sit there and watch TV and assemble stuff, that sounds pretty good. Like that, and get paid for
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
You know, but and then I kept saying this too. I'm totally done with commissions once I finish Schmog for the year. I might pick some up in the beginning of January. Then I'm
Yep.
out mowing my lawn, and the guy I did the X-wings for and some D&D miniatures for shows up with the Battletech box from the game, not Battletech, Robotech game box. And he's like, could you paint these too? And I'm like, damn it, yes. But they're not getting done till after I paint a stupid dragon.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I have a feeling that's going to be a constant. And he is a super nice guy, but he just comes out of nowhere. Like I didn't see him coming. I was like, damn it, what? And
So
he
yeah, you
drives.
get
He
sick
drives a
of that
sim.
shit, man.
Huh?
Before you know it, you'll be painting everybody else's stuff. You don't get to paint your own.
That's the big thing. Yeah, that I don't want to. I don't want to do because I want to before the end of this year. My two personal painting goals is I want to finish the figure from Eric's class, which was Morlock from Chimera Models, and
Mm-hmm.
then I want to finish. I am working on Anabagesha Hinta from Nuts Planet. It's my first historical piece,
Yeah.
and so I want to finish those two things by the end of the year. That's my goal.
Cool.
And it is October, and I'm about halfway done with each of them. But I really just want to take my time. I don't want to feel any pressure to do them. You know what I mean? And
There
just
you go. All
enjoy
that
them.
use or lose, man.
Yeah, and then I got the bonus. I just hit 15 years on Saturday of Eric's class, so now I got
Oh,
the
now you get
added.
all those. You get all that time and leave that you'll never be able to use because damn, it just keeps piling
It,
up.
and COVID just did not help. It gave really a running start at like not being able to get any time off,
Exactly.
not be able to use all my time off. Yeah,
Yep. Oh, I totally get that.
and so that's kind of the review of all of what's been going on since kind of the last time we chatted. I think some of the things that we should talk about are kind of things we're looking forward to right now. So this is going to come out after uh, the Lila Mev interview comes out, which I'm hoping to drop no later than Monday, the 25th. Yes, 25th. Then we also have an interview in the can with Stephen Garcia, Bryce Kokenauer. We have interviews planned with Will Hahn, Sick Willie Miniatures, and then Ron Hawkins of Reaper Miniatures. He's the art director. And then Rogland Studios from Sweden. So we have a lot of shit going on as far as content goes. Plus, Dan and I have independent episodes that we want to do. You know, like I'm not going to spill the beans on those because, you know, people will be stealing our ideas. And
that's right. Can't be stealing my ideas.
You know,
I stole from someone.
Right. You may not steal the idea that we stole. We stole it first.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's so far it's been a pretty good year. I just wish I had more miniatures to show for it that I didn't like ship off to somebody.
Yeah, you're getting stuck in that spiral there, man. I still have all of my non-painted miniatures, so I don't have that problem. No one wants to hire me or anything for me to paint their stuff.
Dude, I got 3 customers. It's not like people are beating down my door. I mean, these are all people I know.
That's 3 more than I have.
Yeah, well, fair enough. And literally, I did nothing to get these customers, right? Like, I didn't solicit. I got asked to paint Smog. I got asked to do the D&D stuff, and then the Battletech, not Robotech. Damn it, I keep mixing the two of this. Macross. I'll just call it Macross stuff, because that's what it is. I think it's all the Macross stuff, because versus the Zentradi with the 2-leg walker thingies.
That's right.
I don't have to paint any Zentradi. I'm sure that's coming though. The second I hand him these, he's gonna hand me the Zentradi. I know that's coming.
Fine. Just paint their ships green and the guys are purple, and he'll be all right.
Nice. Yeah. Well, the problem with the Robotech stuff is that he hired a 10 and a 12-year-old to put it together.
Oh yeah, that's right, and changed all the heads and stuff.
Well, they only heads they put on were the mono or the single eye. They didn't do any like a traditional, you know, when I think Battletech, I think of we'll do the battle between Transformers and Robotech. The Jetfire look. That's what I think of when I think of Robotech. I think of the visor cross, you know, the visor, the 4, lack of a better term, ears, you know, and he did none of them. Just all of them look like IG-88 from Star Wars. And then my favorite are all the Valkyries have their arms up, like in surrender, or like they're raising the roof or something like that. And so I'm going to have to clip those. And you know, there's a little bit of glue involved in these.
Just a little bit.
That's what I told them. I said, yeah, next time don't bring me these. The next time I'm not fixing these. You know what I mean? And so no more 12-year-olds hired for gluing. Yeah, what a disaster. Anyways, so yeah, I don't know. I don't have much. I don't really have anything else. I mean, we'll give more specifics of this. I don't know the dates off the top of my head, but in April on a Wednesday, and then the following weekend, Banshee will be teaching a class in Baltimore, and then a 1-day class in Baltimore and a 2-day class in Virginia Beach, which I think Dan and I are both going to attend that 2-day class.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll let people know like more details about that as we get more information, and if there are any seats available or not. Just as a warning though, if there are seats available, you're going to need to move fast, because I am sure that they will fill quickly. Because it's been a while. It's been 2 or 3 years since really any major artists have done a tour of the U.S.
Yeah, since with travel restrictions and everything, people haven't been able to make it. So
yep.
Fingers crossed that things get better and people can start coming over and
absolutely,
because we're all wanting it, we're all needing it. And
yeah, we haven't had Adepticon in 2 years, right?
Yeah,
it's I'm not going this year. I'm hoping 2023 is when I'm going to go.
So 22 Debcon, you won't.
Yeah, I can't go.
Tickets already been sold, or I don't.
I think so. I think tickets are already on sale.
Probably. Yeah, I'm not going.
Yeah, I can't go. I have a conflict that weekend this year. I can't remember. I don't know what it was off the top of my head, but when I looked, plus I'm going to try to go back to Reapercon, and I'm going to try to convince them to let me teach a class next year. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah, I got a couple ideas for classes. One is simple basing class, and then another one. Ooh, it's top secret. Only because I haven't hashed it all out yet, so I don't even know how.
Yeah, we need to probably iron some of that stuff out and give us some test runs.
That would be awesome.
Over at the shop, yeah,
for sure. Well, you know, it's always a good thing to kind of keep perspective and look back, right, and figure out where you've been. And so, you know, we want to hear what you've been working on this year. Tell us, you know, what projects you got on the hopper or down the road. Hit us up at listeningtopaintdry@gmail.com.
Yeah, and you can also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram at Listening to Paint Dry, or on Twitter at Dry Listening.
Like, subscribe, or follow wherever you get your podcasts. And if you could leave us a 5-star review, man, we would totally appreciate it. And we want to say thank you to all of our listeners, all 7 of you. We really appreciate everything you do for us. And without you, we would not be doing this anymore. But once we get to 10 listeners, I think we're done. I think we're just call it quits.
We should have like a big giveaway or something when we have 10. You can send them one of your painted. I can give one of my non-painted figures.
Well, I have to complete projects first, so let's have that conversation at a later date. Because the only time I can complete projects is if I'm under the gun. We're like somebody needs it for a game, or I've got a contest. I mean, I didn't finish. I finished all my Reapercon entries at 2:00 in the morning on Friday, the day I turned them in. So, that's pretty good for me. Yeah, usually I would have pulled an all-nighter. But so anyways, you know what? It's not a bad idea to stop for a moment, take a look back, see where you're done, and look where you're going, because we know you're on the path to become a better, braver, happier painter. Until next time.
See ya.
Listening to Paint Dry with Mike and Dan is a production of LTPTWMD. All rights reserved. No portion of this recording may be used without the express written consent of the host. The music is Death by 1,000 Questions by Springtide. Download from the Free Music Archive on a non-commercial attribution share-alike basis. All views and opinions expressed in the show are solely the views and opinions of the person who said them. All celebrity voices, if any, were impersonated and done so poorly.